upside down. There we go. So before I actually start, I was told I have to do this, or I was asked to do this. Friday night is Friday Free. Alianza Latina is hosting a dance from 9 to 10, so be there, show out, have a costume, be great. And now I can start. So good morning. So in the very first chapel of the year, Mr. Packard talked about belonging in the Brooks community. And it made me think about my journey in life and what belonging meant to me, not only while I was at Brooks, but throughout my whole educational experience. I grew up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and from kindergarten to 8th grade, I went to a small charter school where everyone in my graduating class was some sort of Hispanic. And most of us had grown up with each other. I was comfortable. Everyone around me was like me. Right? We might have had slightly different interests, came from maybe slightly different places or looked different, but we were pretty much the same in my eyes. And I really felt like I belonged at that spot. When I started my Brooks journey, everything was different. There were only 7 Hispanics in the freshman class: Coral Sabino, Jenny Treviso, Marisol Newton, Robert Brea, Thalia Garcia, and Zilali Sanchez, and then obviously myself. And for the first time in my life, I felt like a minority, and I wasn't sure how I was going to fit in this place. And as freshman year went by, I started questioning why I was here. I wasn't as smart as a lot of my classmates. I wasn't as athletic as a lot of my teammates. I couldn't sing, I couldn't act, draw, paint, couldn't play an instrument, and I probably had the messiest backpack in the whole grade. And it made me think why an unexceptional kid from Lawrence got an opportunity to come here. In my eyes, I was average, right? And average shouldn't have gotten me here. I had made friends, I was doing all right in a lot of my classes, and I was truly enjoying my time at Brooks. But in my head, I didn't deserve to be here. I didn't know it at the time, but what I was feeling can be referred to as imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome can be defined as the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own effort or skills. And people that have imposter syndrome often feel like frauds. And that was me. I was the fraud. Luckily, there were many people around me that made me feel the opposite and reminded me that I did very much belong here. The first was Mrs. Miller, who I now get to call Lillian, still weird. Mrs. Miller was my advisor and the first faculty member I met during my time at Brooks. And for the rest of the story to make sense, I do need to explain that I've always been bad at homework. I still am bad with homework. If you have any of my classes, you know I'm awful at posting whenever I have something to do. But back in my day, there wasn't an advisory set block at Brooks, so you had to set up a time with your advisor that you would meet. Ours happened to be Monday afternoon, and it was always Monday afternoon the whole 4 years I was here. Now, whenever I had to miss an assignment, I would skip that meeting. And because there wasn't on Brooks where all the assignments were posted, I thought if I just texted Mrs. Miller, hey, I'm good, I don't need to talk to you, I would be fine. I quickly found out that faculty members here talk, and they talk often. So inevitably, sometime in that week, Ms. Miller would just show up at one of my classes and tell me why I wasn't doing my work. It's almost as if she knew my schedule. And it's crazy that at that time, and now looking back at it, I felt like she wanted me to succeed more than I myself wanted to succeed during my time here. And I thank her for that. Another group of people that helped me feel like I was truly part of Brooks were 4 seniors: Armando La Cruz, Ezekiel Del Valle, Tyrone Hammond, and Marty Murphy. None of them were prefects. They weren't senior captains in any of the sports I played. They were just 4 seniors who sort of took a few freshmen under their wing and made them feel like Brooks was a place for them. They would invite us to play Foursquare in what's now the 2020 quad, or play soccer or ultimate frisbee in the fields behind Thorne. And to me, it was super cool that some seniors did that for me. And there are dozens of other people during my time here that made me feel like I belonged regardless of my own doubts. By senior year, I still wasn't the smartest or the most athletic. I couldn't sing, but I can now kind of play the saxophone. And my backpack was still a mess. But that didn't mean anything, right? I didn't have to be any of those things. I got here because I was me. And by the end of my time here, I truly felt like I deserved to be here. I belonged. And looking back at my time here, I do think there's something I failed at. And even though by the time I was a senior, I felt like Brooks had embraced me and the community had done so, I had not made a conscious effort to make others feel that same way. I was too worried about myself to try and help others. And I really regretted that almost immediately. Now, jumping ahead to when I started teaching, my teaching career, I asked myself what I wanted students to take out of my classroom. How can I make a room full of students who, for the most part, don't like math, enjoy their time in a math classroom, while also trying to learn some math? And I realized that for me, what was most important in my life, anywhere I went, is that when people cared about me, Joshua Jacobo Jr. Maya Angelou once said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." I've forgotten 95% of what I learned in Mrs. Hadikevich's AP Bio class. But I do remember how I felt when I walked into my class of 5 kids and got to feed Valentine the chinchilla before learning about Punnett squares. I haven't tried to save a goal in front of a lacrosse net in years, but I do remember how it felt in lacrosse practice with Mr. Sharps and Mr. Benson, and them helping me learn how to play a sport and then a position I had never played before. Also how I felt when Mr. Benson rode with me in the ambulance with me when I broke my leg in practice. I don't remember much chemistry, but I do remember Mr. Hesse letting me finish my honors chemistry test, even though I showed up an hour and 20 minutes late because I overslept and had to ride my bike to campus. And I don't remember much of what they showed me on my tour or my interview, but I do remember how it felt when Jordan Johnson, the star football player at the time, let me use his coat because I forgot to bring one and it was freezing outside. And how Mr. Waters let me talk about my escape artist turtle, Squirt, that I convinced my parents to get me as a science fair project. All these moments made me feel like I was important, for no other reason than I was me. And I wanted to make sure I brought the same feeling into my classroom. Very early on in my teaching career, I realized that I'm not a math teacher because I love math. Math is cool, it's super important in everything we do. But I became a math teacher because I wanted to work with students and everything that comes with that. And that is something I try to focus on in my classroom. Let as many of my students know that I cared about them and to show them in whatever way I could that was true. If it was showing up for sports games or theater performances, figuring out similar interests or having conversations about those topics, learning their music taste, anything to let them know that they mattered, right? Or even mattered. And even if I might never see them again after they leave my classroom at the end of the year, but for those 9 months or so, they mattered to me, and that they learned some math. And for my time at Lawrence High, I think I did that. And that brings me to Brooks. In February, Mr. Benson sent me a text asking me if I was still interested in working here. I said yes, came in for an interview, taught a class, got a tour from Tristan of a school that I already had attended for 4 years, and somehow in a few weeks later found out I got the job. And I was going back to a place that had meant so much to me. But as the school year got closer, that imposter syndrome crept back up again. In my head, I was thinking, I'm a public school teacher. These students aren't going to think I can teach them. I don't have my master's, and maybe I'm not educated enough to teach these classes. I've never coached before, and can I teach something in a court in a field? And I still haven't coached, so good luck to JV basketball in like a month. And will people like me? Right? I felt this way, and I still often ask myself these questions just from time to time. And then faculty meetings started, and I reminded why this place helped me feel like I belong and why it was so important to me as a student. People made an effort to make me feel special and valued. At the opening faculty party, I was standing in the middle of a dining hall like a deer in the headlights because I was looking for the new faculty, the only people I really knew at the time, so I can sit with them. And it's really sad that I lost them. They were right in front of me in line. I put my head down to make some tacos. I look up, they're gone. Stressful. But I was invited by Ms. Sacco, Ms. McKenzie, Kelly, and Mr. Weld to sit with them. And small gestures like that, or when I've been walking down Main Street and someone calls me by my name, are things that make me feel good about myself, right? When I'm still trying to remember who everyone is here, right? And reminds me why I'm here. Now, if there's a message I want to convey during this time, is that first, that each of one of you do belong here. You each bring something special to this campus, and whatever it is, just know that it is appreciated. And then to help others feel like they belong. If you see someone looking for somewhere to sit like I was, invite them to sit with you. Say hi to someone walking down Main Street, even if you don't know their name. Also make an effort to learn names if you can. Talk to new kids in your dorm, ask them how they're doing. Go to sports games, theater performances, music recitals. Mr. Packard already plugged the musical. I saw it yesterday. It was great. Everyone should go. Also, whenever the winter concert comes up, you guys should definitely go to that. Last week, they performed a version of Elmo's World, and I almost cried. It was magical. Right? But show up, right? Showing up matters. People care about that. Right? And celebrate other successes and motivate them when you feel like they can do better. Brooks and the world are better places when people feel a sense of belonging and that they matter. And we can each do our part to make that more of a reality. Thank you.